Is that fan distracting in the background? Because I'll turn it off if it is.
It is.
Is it Sam? Okay.
Yeah.
It is not. You can't even hear it.
It isn't.
It
is. Sam's just being grumpy tonight.
It looked like those fighter jets.
Hey, may the 4th be with you.
The wings.
Today. The kids are down in the basement watching watching a 12-hour marathon of Star Wars right now because it's May 4th.
Mine too.
Yeah, real? Are they doing?
Yes, Olivia has a blanket and everything. She's all into it.
Yeah. I think they're on the fourth or 5th movie now. I forget. They've been down there since this morning.
Okay, well, I will call to order the Douglasville City Council meeting for tonight, which is Monday, May the 4th. I'd like to welcome you to our council meeting. I'm Douglasville's Mayor, Rochelle Robinson. Today's meeting is conducted in part or in whole by teleconference, and I will acknowledge all of the members and people who are anticipated to participate today on the agenda. And when I say your name, and if you can hear me, please say present. Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
I am present, Madam Mayor.
Good. Councilman Chris Watts.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Present.
Great. Councilman Mark Adams.
Present. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Verdanley.
Yes, ma'am. I am here.
Good to hear your voice. Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Present.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Councilman Howard Estes.
Present.
Very good to see you. And we went down the line like we would do at the council meeting. So outside of the Mayor Pro Tem, we just went down the line. It wasn't alphabetical or anything, if anyone was wondering. Councilman Estes, I like your new haircut. Very nice. Okay, staff, you're welcome. Staff, when I call your name or your office, please respond in the affirmative if you can hear me. Our city manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Present.
Thank you. Assistant City Manager, Ms. Chelsea Jackson.
Present.
Thank you. Our city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Our city attorney's office, Mr. Joel Dotson.
Present, Madam Mayor.
Good to hear your voice, Colonel Dotson.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Our Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
Here, Madam Mayor.
Good to hear your voice, Ms. Littlefield, and to see you. Ms. Swipe over so I can see your face. Our Finance Director, Ms. Karen Callan.
Here, Madam Mayor.
Good to see you. I see Miss Amanda Pope too. She must be your backup.
Yes, ma'am, I'm present.
Yes, Accounting Technician 1, Miss Mandy Pope.
Yes, ma'am, I'm present.
Good to see you. Our Community Relations Director, Mr. Jason Post.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Thank you, Jason. Good to hear your voice. Our IT Manager, Mr. Sam Jenkins.
Present, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. And our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Travis Landrum.
Present, Madam Mayor.
Hear your voice. And now we're going to have our invocation by Pastor Gene Fields from Heritage Baptist Church. I see Pastor Fields look like he's been outside in the garden or at the church working or something.
I came straight from the yard. Yes, ma'am.
I've been out there too, so I understand I have to run some rabbits away. It's good to be outside a little bit.
Yes, it is.
So we're so pleased to have you this evening remotely to do our invocation, and we are streaming live as well. So we'll have Pastor Gene Fields from the Heritage Baptist Church for invocation, and after that, our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem, and I do have a flag. So if you don't mind, let us prepare our hearts to hear our invocation. After that, our Pledge of Allegiance, please, by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
All right.
Prepare for the invocation.
All right, let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. Father, it's been a beautiful day, and it has nothing to do with the weather or circumstances. Father, it's a beautiful day because it's a gift from you. And Father, you have intervened on our behalf. You've done miracles today. And Father, we just, the very air that we breathe is a gift from you. Father, we thank you for that. Father, there all over our world are people that are in need. But Father, you are one who loves people. And Father, you have provided for us all. And Father, you continue to watch over us. So Father, I thank you for that. Father, I thank you for our community. Father, I thank you for our city council and our mayor and all the support staff. Father, just continue to keep them safe and watch over and bless them. Father, as they lead us in troubled times. Father, none of us have ever experienced what we're going through right now. But Father, I just pray that we look for you, for your wisdom. Father, that we look for your heart as we just love people and love our community. Father, we thank you again in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Pastor Fields and Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge. And we hope you haven't taken up too much of your time from the garden or
I'm
being
headed
outside.
back there now.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful day.
Y'all stay safe, and you're all in my prayers.
Thank you so much. The prayers of the righteous avail much. We can feel the prayers. Thank you,
Amen.
sir.
Amen.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. So now we'll move on with our announcements and presentations. Excuse me. And again, I'd like to welcome you to the open meeting of the Douglasville Mayor and City Council. It's being conducted by teleconference, consistent with the official code of Georgia, annotated section 50-14-1G, due to emergency conditions involving public safety in order to mitigate the transmission of the coronavirus and to reduce the risk of COVID-19 illness. That code section, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows local governments to meet by teleconference in the event of emergency, so long as means are afforded for the public to have simultaneous access to the teleconference meeting. For this meeting, we are convening by Zoom app, as shown on the city's website, describing how the public may join, which is via YouTube media platform. All of our elected officials and staff are attending by teleconference, and interested members of the public are attending by live stream via YouTube. Instructions to the city council members and staff. These are just our instructions that we've been doing since we have these virtual city council meetings. I would ask for the council members and staff to assist us with the teleconference legislative work session. Well, this is the actual voting meeting. As you know, these meetings are conducted by committee. So I'll ask each committee chairperson, after you've read your agenda item and heard the comments of the staff member at the appropriate time for council questions or comments, please call on each council member by name or how you deem necessary, as some of us have asked council members just to respond if you had questions. And council members, please hold your comments until your name is called, or if you it's an open forum, just say your name first, please, and then respond. Instructions to the public for applicants and all other participants. We'd be advised that this meeting will allow public comments as well. Even if members of the public do not provide comment, participations are advised that people may be listening who do not provide comment, and listeners are not required to identify themselves. Okay, so the agenda items will be handled as the following. These are the general instructions. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item. Myself or council members may ask questions, but being that this is a voting meeting, if we don't have anything new from the people that are presenting, we can ask questions at that time. The committee chairperson will make his or her motion. I'll call for a second, and then council members making the second will identify themselves by name. For example, you can say Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller, I second. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So I will call the name of each council member participating, who will respond yes, no, or abstain. So that's just a little bit different in that we would say aye, and everyone say aye, or you push a button. But since we can't do that, then I have to do a roll call each time after the committee for the voting measure. So that's protocol for the meeting tonight. And we will move on. And we'll go to item, there aren't any other announcements, and we don't have any presentations. So I'll move on to the minutes So I have the minutes of the legislative work session of April 2nd, 2020, and the regular meeting of April 6th, 2020. I open the floor for a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a motion from the floor? Please say your name and then say motion to approve.
Mark Adams, Councilman, make a motion to approve.
Thank you so much, Councilman Mark Adams. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second? From
Terry
the floor?
Miller, seconding.
Thank you so much. I had a second from the floor and Dr. LaShawn Berdanley seconded. So I saw or heard Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller first. And I appreciate you, Councilmember Berdanley. So you seconded, and we'll move on to Councilmember Chris Watts. Yes, no, abstain for the minutes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Nicole Miller. Yes, no, abstain.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman Samuel Davis. Yes, no, abstain.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman Howard Estes. Yes, no, or abstain.
Yes.
Thank you. So we have, yes, sir. So we have all the council members who have voted. Everyone's in favor. Do we have any corrections to the minutes? If not, then everyone has voted yes, so it passes unanimously. It looks like it has 4-8 on our iPads. So this measure passes the minutes. So I'll move on to the consent agenda. Open the floor to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as shown. Councilman Mark Adams.
Thank you so much, Councilman Adams. I appreciate that. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Howard Estes, I will second.
Thank you, Councilman Estes. So we have a motion from Councilmember Mark Adams and second from Councilmember Howard Estes. Councilman Davis, are you in favor?
Yes.
Abstain? Thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you. Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Berdanley,
Yes, ma'am.
to accept the consent agenda. Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Nicole Miller, to accept the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilman Chris Watts, to accept the consent agenda or deny or abstain.
Approve, yes.
Thank you, sir. And certainly not least, Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller, do you accept the consent agenda as presented?
I vote in favor of accepting the consent agenda.
Thank you so much. So it looks like all members have voted to accept the consent agenda. We have a motion from Councilman Adams, second from Councilman Howard Estes, and all members have voted to approve the consent agenda as presented. So it passes. So we'll move on from the consent agenda to item D. Oh, I'm sorry, that isn't correct. Got to move up on the screen. Mine hasn't moved yet. But we move on to item 7, which is Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under the Economic Development Committee at this time.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under finance tonight.
Thank you, sir. Housing and Community Affairs Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Berdanley.
No items. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. We'll move on to item 10, Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No items at this time, Madam Mayor. Sam Davis.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business. My screen has not moved up yet. It hadn't caught up
Mine-
where we're at.
Mine hasn't either.
Whoever's doing that, I'm not gonna be able to read. Anyway,
Yes, sir.
Hopefully by the time we
Looks like there is some difficulty with it. I'm trying to move it, but it will not move.
I have a paper agenda as well. So hopefully by the time we get to item 15, which is coming up, the screen will have moved. If not, then I will read the item if you don't have a paper item, but I think you should have. There we go. Looks like it's moving. Very good. Thank you, Councilman Watts, for bringing that to our attention. We'll move on to item 12, which is Planning and Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Planning and Development.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Public Improvement and Beautification Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Public Relations Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Public Relations has no business this evening.
Thank you, sir. Now we are at Public Safety, and the screen is moving up, hopefully on everyone's iPads. It has moved on mine, and that is chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis, Public Safety Committee.
Yes, ma'am. I have a couple of paper copy and the real deal. So right now, item A, hold a public hearing to consider a request for the alcoholic beverage license for the on-premises sale and consumption of wine and malt beverage at the spiritual liquor at the following establishment. License Tito Lounge, LLC, DBA Tito Lounge, location 12353 Better Memorial Highway, proposed agent outlet, Angela Cana, Marie Ragsdale. The required fees have been paid into the finance department. Would the applicant please come down, please? State your name and address.
LaShawna Ragsdale, 12353 Veterans Memorial Highway, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
And how you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, same station, same time. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve number 20-162 PDF.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. We have a motion to approve by the committee chair. Is there a second from the floor?
Second that motion, Mark Adams, City Council.
Thank you so much, Councilman Adams. We have a motion to approve by the chair, Councilman Davis, and second by Councilmember Mark Adams. We'll go down the list. Councilman Howard Estes, do you vote to approve, deny, or abstain?
I vote yes.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley. Approve, deny, or abstain the measure?
Approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Nicole Miller. Approve, deny, or abstain?
Approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Chris Watts. Approve, deny, or abstain?
Approved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller. Approve, deny, or abstain for
I
the
vote to
alcohol?
approve.
Thank you. So it's been unanimously approved to and properly moved by the chair and seconded by Councilmember Mark Adams to approve this alcohol license for Tito's Lounge LLC. The measure passes.
Thank you, Ms. LaConda. I know you all are working hard on setting it up for the virus. So thank you all.
Do you have to have a public hearing, Councilman Davis?
Yes, we had it on Thursday.
Okay. It still has hold a public hearing on here. But
All of them have that once we do the public hearing on Thursday. And
Okay.
then we'll have to do it on Monday on the vote meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. LaCanna. Are you still here? Okay, moving on to item B.
Mm-hmm.
Hold a public hearing to consider a request for the change in agent outlet manager and transfer of the alcoholic beverage license for the on-premises sale and consumption wine and malt beverage and spiritual liquor at the following establishment. Current license, Toss CO, LLC, proposed license, Nadia Pizzeria, LLC, DBA Johnny's New York Style Pizza, location 2911 Chapel Road, number 255. Current agent outlet manager, Alan Carson, proposed agent outlet manager, Farkila Patel. The required fees have been paid into the finance department. Would the applicant please come down, please come on.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening. State your name and your address, please, sir.
My name is Pratik Kumar Patel, and my address is 2911 Chapel Hill Road, Unit 255, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135.
Okay, thank you. Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve number 20-194 as PDF file.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. The chair has made a motion to approve the application for alcohol beverage license and on-premises sale to Johnny's New York Style Pizza. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
This is Howard Estes. I will second.
Thank you so much, Councilman Estes. Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller, how do you vote?
I vote to approve, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, sir. Councilmember Dr. LaShondra Danley, how do you vote for this Johnny's New York Style Pizza alcohol license?
Approved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Chris Watts, how do you vote?
Approved.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Mark Adams, how do you vote?
I vote to approve. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Councilmember Nicole Miller, how do you vote?
To approve, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. It looks like we have unanimous approval for the on-premises sale that was motioned to accept by the committee chair, Councilman Davis, and second by Councilman Howard Estes, and unanimously approved by all council members. So item 20.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What's going on?
And have a
with
great
this?
day. Moving on. The item C. Hold a public hearing. Item C. Hold a public hearing to consider request for the change in agent outlet manager and transfer of the alcohol beverage license for the retail package of sale of wine and malt beverage and spirits liquor at the following establishment: current licensee Omen Shibi Anesia LLC, proposed licensee Sharia Bahan Inc, DBAK Spring Package, location 913 Dallas Highway, current agent outlet manager Omar Patel, proposed agent outlet manager Onilma Patel. The required fees have been paid into the finance department. Would the applicant please tune in?
Hi, my name is Poonam Patel, and the address is 913 Dallas Highway, Douglasville, Georgia.
How are you this afternoon?
I'm good.
I'm trying to unmute this. It's on at the same time as my thing.
Are you fine?
What?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion we approve number 20-207 PDF file.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second from the floor?
Second, Mark Adams.
Thank you, Councilman Adams. We have a motion and a second, motion by the chair and second by Councilman Adams to approve the on-sales premise for on-sale package sale for malt beverages and spirituous liquor on Cave Springs package. Councilmember Dr. LaShondra Danley, how do you vote?
Approve.
Thank you. Councilmember Howard Estes, how do you vote, sir?
Approve.
Thank you. Councilmember Chris Watts, how do you vote?
Approve.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Nicole Miller, how do you vote?
To approve, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller, how do you vote?
Vote to
Okay.
approve, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, sir. So it's been properly moved in second, moved by the chair and second by Councilman Adams to approve, and all council members vote in the affirmative to grant this alcohol beverage license to Cave Springs package sale. And so item 20-207 is approved unanimously.
Thank you so much.
That's all
You're
I have, Madam Mayor. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 16, which is Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight under Recreation, Culture, and Tourism. Authorize the mayor to sign an agreement between owner and architect with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood Inc. for services on the Jesse Davis Park Improvement Project. Ms. Hampton, do you have anything to add to this since our last meeting?
The only thing I would add, you may want to have your colleague, Mayor Pro Tem, mention his conversation with GMC. We've made those adjustments based on those conversations. Ms. Littlefield may have some feedback, as well as Mr. Travis Landry.
Ms. Littlefield?
Chairman, I don't have anything to add. Thank you. I have looked at the agreement. It's still in order.
Thank you, Ms. Littlefield. Mr. Landrum, do you have anything to add?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to point out that the original documents from the conversation last week are the first 3 attachments. The final attachment is the revision, as noted by Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller. And I think we also have Amy Bell present if you had any questions or concerns regarding the revisions made.
If we have any council members that would like to ask Ms. Bell a question, or if you have a comment about this, just state your name and chime right in.
Coach Watts, Mark Adams here. Just curious if we could have a little more detail on the changes that Mayor Pro Tem mentioned prior to the meeting beginning. If this is in fact what he was speaking of, what changes are we exactly talking about?
Yeah, this is Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller. The only substantive changes was actually the percentage of the cost of construction for the fee. So we GMC agreed to reduce the percentage down by 0.5% on each of the phases. So that saves the city a net amount of $44,000 plus, rather than rewriting any portion of the contract or any of the other responsibilities. That was primarily the substance, was just reducing the fee by that percentage.
So the compensation percentage that we have in front of us on the document, is that or is that not updated?
That I don't know if it should, whatever the original, I don't have that sheet in front of me, but whatever the original document said, it should be 0.5% lower on each of the phases.
Okay.
Ms. Littlefield, is that the case?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The clerk added the latest version that came in this afternoon.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I had.
Any other comments from Mayor or Council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I was going to make that announcement. So thank you, Councilman Adams, for asking that, but I was alerted through the city clerk's office that they did change the amount on the contract.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Anything else? Anybody? All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 20-214.
Mark Adams, second.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Kind of hearty second, but I think you came in first. So like Family Feud, you pushed the buzzer just a little bit quicker. So I move on to Councilman Mark Adams. Your vote, yes, no, or abstain.
A vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley, yes, no, or abstain.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller, yes, no, or abstain.
I vote in favor, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and thank you for your diligent hard work in saving the city money and the company. We appreciate them yielding 0.5%. Council Member Nicole Miller, yes, no, or abstain.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Councilmember Howard Estes, yes, no, or abstain.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So it's been approved. It was voted by the committee chair, Councilman Watts, and seconded by Councilman Davis to approve this measure for myself to sign the owner and architect with Goodwin Mills and Haywood for Jesse Davis Park improvements, and unanimously voted by the council to approve this measure. So 20-214 passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all the items we had tonight under Recreation, Culture, and Tourism.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman of Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee. We'll move on to Technology Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business at this time under the Technology Committee.
Thank you, sir. Transportation Committee, that's chaired by Dr. LaShawn Danley.
No items tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Ms. Chairman. Is there any other business from council members to come before committees tonight or before the floor?
Madam Mayor, this is
Yes, sir.
Councilman Estes. I just have a question
Yes, sir.
that I'm guessing would be for the city manager, but since we, as of today, are starting to reopen partially in some offices and buildings, I was wondering if we are providing sanitizer and masks and gloves if necessary for our employees in those affected areas.
Yes, sir. So we are providing masks, we're providing gloves. We put up plexiglass shields in the reception area, in
Right, I
the
saw
finance
that.
area, and also markers that indicate that you need to be 6 feet apart. There's signage on the outside of the building, and they're very limited spaces that you can go in, and that is the only space in City Hall. The annex
Right.
is not open. The deputy chief is probably on the line. She can address what they've done over at the police complex.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We've got the signage on the floor and the signage out front about social distancing. And yes, all of our employees are provided with hand sanitizer and mask and gloves.
Wonderful. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councilman Estes. City Manager, the thermometers, I know we talked about those as well, that machine. And when we resumed in-person council meetings, if that was going to be available, I thought Mr. Gregg or someone was ordering that. Do you have a status on?
We are ordering those. I don't know if Greg or Melissa are on because they may not be because they didn't have items. I can tell you those will be a few weeks. What we didn't want to do is to have someone do the hand thermometer because now you have to have fully dressed in PPE to do that and having someone stand by. So we have ordered those for all spaces that would be public, including all of our community centers that will potentially open up at some point. And that includes the conference center. So those are ordered and we will have those installed. I doubt that we had really anyone come in the City Hall. Our expectation is the first few weeks are going to be very slow because a lot of people are still sheltering in place.
Thank you so much, City Manager. Any other comments from council members as relates to this item or anything, any other business? City Manager, I would add that I received a text today from Lisa Grossman with the Cobb Douglas Public Health, and she's offering masks to the city of Douglasville. So I will send you her information tomorrow if you don't have it, so that Public Health will provide more masks for us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll move on to update from city staff. Do we have an update from our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson?
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Our Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Our Deputy Chief Sue Ann Shaw from the Police Department.
No business, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our City Manager, Ms. Marsha Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. Just a couple things. I'll ask really quickly, Ms. Karen Callan, to go over the new dates for the public hearing on the budget meeting and the final adoption. We did have some issue with our advertising that was not put in place by the Douglas County Sentinel. So we're having to revisit those dates.
Yes, ma'am. The May 7th public hearing is canceled this week. The new public hearing will be May 14th at 5:30 p.m. And the final adoption of the budget will be May 28th at a special call meeting on Thursday at 5:30.
Could you repeat those one more time?
Yes, sir. The public hearing is canceled for this Thursday. The new public hearing will be Thursday, May 14th at 5:30 p.m. And the final adoption will be the special call meeting on May 28th, Thursday at 5:30. And Miss Kristen Tate says she will send that out in her weekly update. So you'll have it also.
So, Madam Mayor, just,
Yes.
Coach Watts, I just,
Yes,
so
sir.
that means we're going to be doing the same format for those public hearings, the Zoom format.
Yes, unless you all deem to come back we have that on our discussion under staff reports when we'll convene council meetings at social distancing. So if you all decide to come back before the 28th, we'll have it then. But if not, then it'll be this format.
Okay, thank you, Madam
Oh,
Mayor.
it's pending. It's pending.
I got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
You're welcome. Any other comments from city manager?
Ms. Callen, did you already advertise for those dates as of today?
The article that Ron Daniel will be publishing in the paper tomorrow will have those dates included. And then as a backup method, I do have an ad scheduled to run on Thursday, just in case something goes wrong tomorrow.
So if you all choose, and the only reason I brought that up, if you choose to meet in person, we'll need to change the ad. So that's part of the reason why we had to cancel the 7th, because the advertising has to meet the specific state requirements. So when you do a Zoom meeting, we specify that in the wording. So when we get to that item, if you all want to make adjustments, we can do that.
All right. Thank you so much, city manager. Thank you, Ms. Kemp. Any other comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. The only other thing I had was just 2 quick items. The Red Cross is asking to use our facilities for blood draw. That would be the police community room and the conference center. Of course, you know, during COVID-19, blood is actually something that's needed. I don't see any issue with the Red Cross utilizing our facilities. They're very aware of the critical nature of what's going on. So I feel confident that they will do what's necessary to provide a safe environment. But if you all object, if you would just let me know, I could basically say we're not open for that purpose. But being that to me is a need community-wide, I thought it was a good thing to do. The only other is that because you all are doing Zoom meetings, you're not in person, so we can't get those resolutions and documents signed by you all. So if you all can stop by Vicky's office tomorrow, she has a table in her office that's 6 feet away from her. If you can come in to sign them, that would be great. If you can do that before 2 o'clock tomorrow, that will get everything wrapped up and she can prepare for what she needs. But it will be in her office tomorrow on her table waiting. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, city manager. For council members to respond to the request to the city manager about the Red Cross, if you have any objections, please email. Is that a good format, city manager? Email you?
Email or text, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I did have a couple of comments from council members as far as our Hunter Park, and we opened it for testing that when are we going to receive the facilities back? So it might be the same situation with the Red Cross, but there's an unknown if they're in the auditorium and we start council meetings back again. We just don't know the length of time unless they've said, you know, it's 2 weeks or a month or 3 months or something.
You're meaning to open up our facilities to the public?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, for the Red Cross and then open up to the public.
For rent, for those that are not type of I guess I would consider an humanitarian type effort in this process. We really were waiting on guidance from the governor's office and from those agencies that deal with conference centers and facilities. I think that is in his phase 2 plan. So my expectation is within the next 2 weeks, when he starts talking about special events and those activities, these types of facilities will be included.
Okay. Any questions or comments to the city manager as relates to this? Yes, sir. Councilmember Adams.
Madam Mayor, Ms. Hampton, I will be out of town tomorrow on a project. I'll be leaving before daylight and I don't know when I'll be back. So that may cause a problem in my being able to get to City Hall.
Okay. Are you back on Wednesday?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you can stop by Miss Vicky, I'm certain Wednesday will be good, right? She's still on mute, but it'll be good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Danley, you had a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask our city manager, did she have enough information for us to discuss the park security contract right now?
No, ma'am, I do not. Mr. Landrum is pulling together some information that we will be prepared to discuss with you, the opportunity for some of our staff to kind of fill in, as well as the contract with Mr. Pearson at our next round of meetings, but we'll have a full report for you at that time.
Okay, great. So Mr. Pearson will still be active contract until we discuss?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Burdanley. Councilman Davis, do you have any questions about anything that we've talked about before we move on?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilman Howard Estes, do you have any questions or comments about anything?
No more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, you have any questions or comments?
Yes, ma'am. A quick question regarding the Red Cross's use of our facilities. Assuming that we do allow them to do that or accept that, are we going to help them promote the, I assume, is this for a blood drive? Is that why they're?
The two people that have been contacted are the deputy chief and the assistant city manager. So you guys, do you have any further information from what this is for?
Hello, this is Chelsea Jackson, assistant city manager. The blood drive at the conference center, well, it's a blood drive, what they'll be having, and it's in June. And we usually assist them with advertising. We'll post it on the Douglasville Conference Center website as well as Facebook.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. Thank you. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Chris Watts.
Madam Mayor, I have no questions. American Red Cross, I'm fine with that from my perspective.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Councilmember Nicole Miller.
No, Madam Mayor, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, council members. I appreciate your patience as we've gone through to try to get everyone's concerns heard. Now we go to staff reports. And the first one is Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a staff report concerning the request for the Douglas County Development Authority.
All right. So I sent you all two emails. One was from the city manager in Lawrenceville, and the other was from the city manager in Covington. I did not get anything from McDonough. Their setup is a little bit different from ours, but their funding mechanism was through the DDA. They weren't able to provide me the information. And the city of Atlanta, I didn't get any information from either because they're completely different. Those were the four jurisdictions that Chris Pumphrey referenced as communities that were similar to what the Development Authority of Douglas County was trying to do as far as a business incentive for the small businesses in Douglasville, Douglas County. The first recommendation that I would have would be for you all to wait. Part of the reason I would suggest that you wait is due to a lot of the unknowns within our budget itself. That would be one. The second would be, I did forward this information to Chris on Friday, really for him to take a look at it, in particular Lawrenceville, because I believe that Lawrenceville has a lot of detail. Granted, their funding dollars are a lot different than ours, but if you look at how specific they are, I think that that would be a good framework for them to look at. Not saying that what they presented to you all is not good, but I think that they present something that is in far greater detail than what was presented to you by Chris. And then the last statement that I would make is based on the communities that they're suggesting, these communities have completely different funding opportunities that we don't have. For instance, both Covington and Lawrenceville are electric, water, gas, power, full utility cities. So in essence, they have far more funding opportunities than we would even close to come to having. Lawrenceville, for example, has a $187 million budget. That's just not a reality for us. So they're able to have reserve pockets in their utility funds that we just don't have. So overall, my recommendation is just to wait. Maybe we can revisit this. If not at the next round of meetings, definitely next month, when maybe we've had at least a full 30 days of some businesses being open and seeing how the public responds to that. And then Ms. Callan will also be able to present to you all what sales taxes are particularly looking like after April, after the April numbers come in. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions.
All right, well, I guess I'll open the floor to anyone who would like to discuss this issue.
This is Howard Estes. I don't have any questions, but I totally agree that this needs to be put on hold for at least a month until we get a better read on exactly what the financial situation in reality is for us.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Anyone else like the floor?
Mayor
Yes,
Pro
thank
Tem
you.
Miller.
Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you. This is Councilwoman Dr. LaShawn Danley. I do agree that we should wait so that we can assess our financial situation as well, considering the status with our employees. And also, we were not able to contribute hazardous pay for our frontline staff as well. So I do agree that we should wait.
I'll go down the rest of the line. Coach Watts, Councilman Watts, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just would like to echo Dr. Danley's and Mr. Estes' comments that it would be a good idea to wait. So I'll go with that.
Yeah. Thank you. Councilwoman Miller, would you like to comment?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I hate this thing.
Councilman Adams, would you like to make comments?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I would agree with our city manager and with the others. I would echo that feeling that we need to be responsible when we do take action and know what our abilities are and what availability we have of funds first. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman Adams. Councilman Davis, do you have any comments?
Not at this time, but I agree with our city manager. She had it best. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Madam Mayor, would you like to comment?
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem and Committee Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I do agree with my colleagues that we need to wait and assess our own financial situation, and those other communities that are fortunate enough to have utilities, they do have a larger pool to pull from. But for us, we really need to look at everything in totality, since we are short with our budget. We heard our budget numbers, and we just have to figure out how we're going to operate the city, not having that line item of recreation to pull from, sales tax, all of that with this whole pandemic is just really put us behind the 8 ball. I do support small businesses, and all of us do. Many of us are small business owners, our family members. So we know that's the heartbeat of our community, but our function as a government is to provide services first. And so we need to do that. And we need to assess our resources first. And as I said before, and you're in a plane, you put your own mask on first before you put the mask on someone else. So we need to do that. Thank you so much. And I thank the city manager for providing the information to help us make this decision. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like just simply to add that I would basically agree with the very wise consensus of City Council in this particular case. We are at the very beginning of a wave that we have no idea the size of, and to commit funding. Speaking as a small business owner myself, I can't apply for anything the city would offer, but if I were in a position, I would love to have the opportunity to have any help I can get. But we're not in a position right now financially or in any other mode of or means to provide this kind of assistance when we don't know what our own budget's going to look like. We're taking a stab at it right now. We have I think a 7% dent in that budget between now and an indeterminate period in the future. We don't know what that's going to turn into as this crisis moves along. We're seeing some horrific numbers coming out of the Federal Reserve and out of some other financial institutions that are predicting some very, very serious economic downturns. So I think at this point, I agree that to figuratively table this issue until we have some further information about our own budget and the economy in general. So that's all I have under that item, Madam Mayor.
It wouldn't unmute. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on then. Councilman Samuel Davis, we have a legislative and intergovernmental committee issue under staff report. So if you would take that, please.
Yes, ma'am. Discussion regarding when to resume in-person council meetings. The part is over. Ms. Hampton?
Only thing I have to add is prior to the governor's last announcement, there was some predictions that he would extend the shelter in place through the middle of May. So therefore, I sent you all a prospective date to resume back again for the round of June 11th and June 14th. Well, that order has expired, so people are opening back up. So staff is just open for discussion to decide when you all want to come back in. We're ready whenever you all are ready. And how we would meet would be very similar to your last meeting where everyone is spread apart. The only necessary staff would be in the room. And when individuals would need to come in to present to you, staff could move in and out so we don't have to have people calling in. That's what a lot of governments are doing to make certain that we're keeping the required number in the room at that time. So we're open for whenever y'all are ready.
Well, I'm ready now. City manager, and the ones that not ready, they can stay at home.
Okay, well, I will make a recommendation, Mr. Chairman, that we send the city manager an email based on our comfortability in coming in. And the target dates for our next meeting is May 14th and May 28th. Those are the next couple of meetings, correct? And then we move into June.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You need to know for the paper, for the Sentinel, on how to advertise for the 14th and 28th.
Actually, we can meet whenever, we would want to know for your public hearing sooner rather than later for the budget because of what the state law requires for advertising, and we have to put an ad in the paper. But for your regular meetings, we can do whenever. So it really is just when you all are comfortable coming back together. So there are the two issues. There's your regular meetings, and then there's your budget public hearing and budget adoption.
So the budget meeting is the 28th.
Yes, ma'am, which coincides with a council meeting.
Okay, so we need to make a decision. Council members, please send something to the city manager within the next week for the 28th decision. Does that give you enough time, or you need 3 to 4 days? City manager.
I would say if you all don't think that you're going to be comfortable, we're going to stick with Zoom for the budget public hearings because we need to advertise that within the next couple of days. But then you all send me information on when you want to meet in person on your regular meetings. So whether that's your next round, whether that's the round of May 28th, June 1st, or then that next meeting, June 11th, June 14th. But we're ready for your regular meetings. We're ready whenever you guys are.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment?
Yes, you may.
Madam Mayor, this is Coach Watts.
Yes, sir.
I would have been fine meeting in person tonight from that standpoint, but I also would like to point out that 14 days from the official opening is when all the data is supposedly going to start coming in as to whether or not it was too soon or we're good. And so I would just like to point out, whatever that date is, that 14-day, we may get to that 14th day and somebody's waving the white flag, or we may get to the 14th day and say, hey, we're good to go. So I don't know what that date would be, but city manager, do you have any comments on that?
I think if I'm not mistaken, Coach Watts, I'll verify this with y'all via email, but I believe that date is May 13th.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was just making a point for everybody to ponder, but I'm fine.
You can't ponder too long there. We got to move.
I have one quick question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Estes.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. For me, one of the bigger decisions, I'm assuming that all of the staff people that are normally at these meetings in person are working in the office right now and not from home. Is that correct?
The majority, yes, the majority. I mean, yeah, most of your staff folks have been coming in to work.
Okay,
so what we've done is flex schedules.
So it's not you know, an additional burden on any staff members if we go back to in-person meetings?
No, no, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mark Adams here.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mark Adams.
I would suggest that we stay with the schedule that we have as far as the Zoom meetings, so they can go ahead and be advertised for our budget hearings. And then that we would come together the 28th of May with an in-person meeting for our committees and planning on that. Is that Thursday, the 28th? Yes, it is. And begin there, then in-person meetings with social distancing respected. That way we can go ahead and advertise that the budget hearings will be on Zoom as it has already been suggested. And we can try to get some sense of normalcy back with our meetings in person as council and mayor for the June meetings, which would begin then on the 28th for the legislative work session. That's my input, Madam Ms. City Manager. That's my email to you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And legal staff has advised me as well that currently the shelter in place that the governor currently has expires on the 13th of May as well.
I would totally concur with what Councilman Adams just said about starting up with in-person on the 28th.
This is Chris Watts. I concur.
Anyone else before we leave it up to city manager?
Councilman Davis, this is Councilwoman Dr. LaShawn Burdanley. I agree with those that have spoken recently, but can we check the shelter in order place for those that are over 65? I thought it was June the 13th and not May.
That is correct. Ms. Littlefield, you're chiming in?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Burdanley is correct. Shelter in place ends for most people on May 13, but for folks who are medically fragile or older like I am, it's going to go for another month.
Mr. Chair, I would also like to add, I don't have a problem with the date in May we're just suggesting, but I also see no reason to rush sooner than we have to. I'm having fun. I love Zoom. But I think that you know, setting an example for the public, I don't think that coming back sooner than we should does anybody any good.
Well said. Anyone else?
Well, Mr. Chairman, just as a reply to the Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Miller, I think if the shelter in place for the vast majority of our citizens that are under 65 is the 13th, I believe 14 days would have transpired then on the 13th as far as potential infection. And then we are giving it another 14 days beyond that date before we come back for in-person meetings. That was my reasoning in doing that. So it would coincide with a regular planning legislative work session on Thursday and then voting meeting on the following Monday. I'm not going to share the comfort with Zoom maybe that you do, but at the same time, I'll live through it. I'll make it work. It is a little more casual, that's for sure, but I much prefer the in-person meetings if we can have them. And I'll yield. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I will leave it up to.
Can I respond, Mr. Chair? I agree with Mr. Adams. Like I said, I'm fine with the 28th meeting date. Unfortunately, you don't get into Zoom as much. But
moving on.
I assume we will monitor the situation. The staff will monitor the situation and the statistics behind the decisions that we're making. So just as long as we be careful, that's my primary concern is for the fellow council members and for staff to be safe. And as long as we monitor the situation, hopefully we'll be fine.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And one thing, the reason we're asking as well is, you know, I know I've reminded you all about this before. Most cities have not gone full Zoom for their meetings. Most cities have always met in person. So they did it maybe for a couple of weeks, but then they went back to it's just, you know, full on. So there's no, it should say roadmap. Everybody's kind of doing what's best for them. So that's why I've kind of left it up to you all where your level of comfort is located. So, because you got, for instance, City of Marietta never closed. They just managed throughout the process. So everybody's been very different based on their community numbers and how their community has responded.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll leave it up to the city manager and legal. That's all I have.
Councilman Davis, so it looks like the recommendation is to come together on the 28th for our budget hearing, as recommended by Councilmember Mark Adams, and it seems that the majority of the council agree with that. And so pending any dire news from science or physicians or from the governor, we will come back in person on May 28th at special meeting at 5:30 and councilman meeting at 6, which is our budget meeting to approve the budget. And we'll do social distancing and all the measures that staff has set up for the city council.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you
That's
so
all I
much.
have.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. Do we have any comments from citizens and delegates? Anyone sign up, or Ms. Jackson or Ms. Hampton? Do we have anyone that wants to speak?
No, ma'am, there's no one signed up for comments.
Okay. Is there any other business to come before us this evening? If not, then this meeting is adjourned. Whoop. Have a good evening.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.